Welcome in, everyone, to Sports Sunday. I'm Jen Chapman.
And I'm BJ Millican. You know, we've got less than 1 week left in the month of July. That means one thing, Jen.
What does it mean?
We're closer to football season, of course. Let's check out our Alabama football countdown number tonight. We are 41 days from the kickoff between Alabama and Wisconsin. That's former Bama linebacker Courtney Upshaw sporting the 41 proudly in his playing days in Crimson. Courtney finished his career in Tuscaloosa with 17.5 sacks, 2 touchdowns, and 2 national championships.
Birmingham native Jameis Winston and former Samford quarterback Jimbo Fisher are no strangers to hoisting the national championship trophy. They did so at Florida State, and Jameis even has history on the diamond. Today, they were both at the Tampa Bay Rays game to throw and catch the first pitch. Jameis pitched and played outfield for Florida State, but now he's set to report to rookie training camp for the Bucs on Monday. He is shaking off the nervousness and getting ready to go.
I'm just looking forward to getting it started. The thing about the offseason is you really don't get an offseason. You know, you got to continue to work, continue to prepare, and I feel like I've got better.
I think he's everything, and everyone down here will find out what he is, and I think the people in Tampa is, and I just think he's a tremendous competitor, player, and I think he's there for the right reason to make him win. It's not about Jameis, it's about the team.
A former Auburn offensive lineman, Chad Slade, will head to his first NFL rookie camp on Monday as well. He was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Texans. Now, Slade was in Moody holding a youth football camp on Saturday. He, along with other former players, were out to set a good example.
I have former players out here from Alabama, Auburn, you know, El Toro, and Gene. I have everybody out here, you know, just to show them that, you know, even though you're from, you know, where you're from, that, you know, you still have the opportunity to come out here and make some of yourself.
Now, stay tuned for On Sports Sunday. In just about 5 minutes, we're going to hear from Cornelius Bennett. He speaks about changing some old school thinking about full contact football practices in the high school ranks. So stay tuned for that.
Football isn't just for the guys. Of course, a group of ladies took part in tryouts for the first ever tackle football women's team in the state. The Alabama Fire will compete in the Women's Football Alliance under the watch of Cedric Lane, who led Winona High boys basketball team to 3 straight state titles. He says it was the quest for more that led them to this.
Being that we've been playing flag football for so long, the team experienced a lot of success, and you know, some of the women just wanted to get to the next level, kind of need another challenge, and a lot of them expressed interest in, you know, wanting to hit somebody.
Nice.
And baseball isn't a contact sport. At least it's not supposed to be.
No, not usually. Now, the Atlanta Braves, though, they were hoping to make a little contact with their bats today and try to avoid a sweep against the Cardinals. Their new third baseman, Adonis Garcia, that's right, Adonis. He got his first major league hit on Saturday. Today, he does a little better. He gets this one to fly out over the right field fence, over the outstretched glove of Jason Hayward. It's Garcia's first major league homer, and it gave the Braves a 3-2 lead in the 6th. In the bottom half, check out the nice play by Matt Whistler. He doubles up Pete Cosma, who was attempting the sacrifice bunt. Jim Johnson came on in the 9th. Let's see what he does. Boom. Braves get the win, 3-2, to avoid the series sweep.
It was a big day in Cooperstown for former Atlanta Braves pitcher John Smoltz. Was part of a 4-player class to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Smoltz is the only player in Major League Baseball history to win 200 games and save 100. The 8-time All-Star brought a little humor to his induction speech and praised his old manager.
I thought we would go back in time and just do this for a second. Glav, Maddox, back when I had hair, we had the time of our lives. It's the only time, Greg, you're not going to be able to talk about my bald head. Bobby became my manager. He's the reason I stayed in the organization for 20 years. I would rather go nowhere else. As I said, time does not permit to tell you what an incredible manager, the history that I was able to watch. He empowered people. He gave you confidence when you didn't have it. He was a tremendous leader, and I owe a great amount of my career to this man.
And here's a look at 3 other guys who also went into the Hall of Fame today. Pitchers Pedro Martinez and Randy Johnson, and longtime Astros second baseman Craig Biggio. Pedro, Johnson, and Smoltz were all first ballot entries into Cooperstown.
Hey, if you like cool stats, listen up. Former Auburn pitcher Tim Hudson accomplished something pretty cool today, something that only 14 other pitchers in Major League history have done. His win over Oakland gave him wins over each and every Major League team. That's 30 teams. He played in Oakland for 6 seasons and had lost the previous 2 starts against his old team. I really like stats like that. That stuff's kind of cool. Baseball's full of that kind of stuff. Now, we've got more show left. Next up, we're going to update you on the hottest driver in NASCAR.
Plus, we'll check in with College Football Hall of Famer Cornelius Bennett. Tells us why he's spending so much time reviewing the NFL policies on practicing. He shares his thoughts and why those rules are trickling down to high school. Stay with us. It's next.
We're back, and it's one of the most famous plays in Alabama football history. Check this out. Notre Dame quarterback Steve Berline still doesn't see it coming all these years later. It's known only as the sack. And, of course, as most famous moments in Crimson Tide history are, it was immortalized in a Daniel A. Moore painting. That's pretty cool. The man, of course, on the right side of that big hit, former Crimson Tide linebacker Cornelius Bennett, who you see right here.
And he was in Montgomery this week as a guest of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Tonight, he discusses why safety policies in football are so important and how he hopes the NFL rules will trickle down to all levels.
When we were negotiating, that was one of the main emphasis, player health and safety issues that we were dealing with, and that was a non-negotiating factor. It was going to be the way the players wanted to have it done, because we have finally gotten to a point to where we realize that a few years out of ball, guys are starting to break down, and a lot of it is attributed to practice, the way you practice. Game situations, you can hardly define how you play in a game on Sundays. But during the week of practice, you can dictate the type of tempo that you want to practice. And we've learned over the years that it doesn't take a whole lot of head banging. It's mostly mental. Practice is a mental part, and Sunday is the physical part. So to try to get the coaches to understand that, because their mindset was, the way they learn, from running through the gauntlet, doing the bull in the ring, all those types of things. That's the way it should be done. But we found out definitely that if we just learn to practice, have good physical, mental, a mental practice more than a physical practice, things to still turn out good on Sundays. Guys that play football know what it takes. And during the process of elimination, those guys eliminate themselves, the ones that don't want to be out there. It is a physical game, always will be. But it is evolving, just like everything else in the world. You can't stop that. The game went from just basically all running to passing, pitching the ball or whatever to where it is now. So, and I think it's good for the game the way it's going. People like high-scoring football games. Some of the rules, as far as how they dictate, the rules on from a competition committee standpoint, it's a little difficult to deal with. But from a physical standpoint, it's just as physical as ever. That won't change. We knew once we set the parameters on the NFL that it would, have a little trickle-down effect. And that's happening a whole lot sooner than we thought, because these coaches are, of the old mindset that you got to hit so guys can prove themselves or what have you. Again, there's always going to be some hitting in practice. But just have to limit it, and don't be stupid about doing it. Again, as I mentioned a little earlier, the bull in the ring and things that are really non-football related. When you're doing 7-on-7, 9-on-7 kind of things or whatever, that has to be a limit. You can't have a guy going full speed every day, all day, 2 days or what have you, busting each other upside the head. It's just senseless. It's I don't know how I did it. Looking back on it. But we do know that you don't have to do that.
Wise words from a guy who definitely has the experience.
That's right. He's also won an awful lot. One thing he is doing, though, he did mention that he would be donating his brain to research, and a lot of NFL players, of course, with all the concussion things going on, are doing that to see if there is a link. So that's interesting stuff. We'll have that interview up on WVUA23.com a little bit later tonight. Like I said, a lot of winning that he did with the Bills. And someone else who does a lot of winning, we talked about him last night in NASCAR, Kyle Busch. He's won 3 of his last 4 Sprint Cup starts, and he won the Xfinity race on Saturday over in Indy. Now, would he be able to kiss the bricks today? It was Jeff Gordon's final race at the Brickyard. He won here last year. Guess who finished second in that race? Kyle Busch. But it wasn't to be for Gordon here. He gets wrecked by Clint Boyer on lap 50. Gordon's 42nd place finish, the worst in his career at the Brickyard. It all came down to this late pass by Kyle Busch. He nudges by Joey Logano with 2 laps to go. And guess what? He does it. Takes the checkered flag, holds on to win his 3rd race in a row, and watch him kiss the bricks.
There's no question that we've certainly overexceeded. You know, we just wanted to come back and get back into a rhythm of things and finish top 20, finish top 15, get to some top 10s, you know. But, man, right when I did come back, you know, I felt ready to go. You know, I didn't want to come back and not be ready to contend for race wins or contend for top 5s, top 10s. So, you know, when I did come back, I knew that that's what we were going to be here to do. But I wasn't sure it was going to come this quick.
Here are the results. Busch becomes the first driver to win 3 straight races since Jimmy Johnson did it in 2007. He sweeps the weekend at Indy. In doing so, he's now just 23 points away from cracking the top 30 in the standings.
Well, Chris Froome won his 2nd Tour de France title today. His first was in 2013. Froome dominated the Tour, claiming the leader yellow jersey in the 3rd stage and only let it go once. Today, on the final stage, stage 21, Froome rode to victory, becoming the only Briton to win the Tour twice. To the final round of the Canadian Open on his home turf, David Hearn came into the day with a 2-stroke lead, trying to become the first Canadian to win the Open in 61 years. On the 13th, he makes birdie to go 15 under. But Jason Day is going to rain on Hearn's parade. Day birdies the final 3 holes to take the win, his 4th PGA Tour victory. And Day finished 1 stroke ahead of Bubba Watson, 2 strokes ahead of Hearn, who had his worst round of the tournament, unfortunately, with a 72 today, and Jim Furyk at 14 under. Well, we've got more to come. Oh, what did you want to say?
I was just going to say Hearn was Canadian, too. That would have been a really good thing.
Were you listening? That's what I said in the beginning.
He
wasn't listening. Well, hopefully you were, and we still have more to come.
Go to sleep.
On our favorite part of the show is hopefully yours too is next. Go ahead, DJ.
No, it's okay. Our favorite things is next. Stick around. It's coming after the break. I'm going to go to sleep. We're back on Sports Sunday. What a special night it was on Saturday in Los Angeles, the opening ceremony of the Special Olympics World Games.
Thousands of athletes from around the world gathered to kick off the games. It's the largest sporting event in Los Angeles since 1984 Olympic Games, and it's our favorite things for this week. We wish all those athletes the best of luck, and they're going to have so much fun.